I sort of look back and I wonder if I did stay at that particular day school, would I have been happier? And I don't think I necessarily would have been happier. I think that my experiences would have been very different.
I grew up with a mom who was like, if you're bad, I'm going to send you away to boarding school. So it was very much a threat growing up. So I didn't even know that there were good boarding schools. And I went to public school until 6th grade, and then I ended up going to a private day school in Long Island for 6th through 8th grade. And everyone in 8th grade was applying for boarding schools, and I was really confused. But then I learned more about it. My mom was very open to the idea, so she decided to come with me and visit a few different schools. And I just applied to all the ones I visited, and Kent gave me a lot of really great financial aid, and I liked it, and we were kind of just winging it. She was like, try it if you like it, if not, you come home, it doesn't really matter.
Exeter Academy had come and given a speech to, because our grade was only up to 8th, our school was only up to 8th grade, so he came and they try to recruit people because there's no high school. So I actually had no idea about boarding school until that moment. So I brought it up to my parents, and my parents were like, are you kidding me? No way. But once I got accepted and they started giving back scholarship and stuff, my parents were like, well, we can't say no now. I was like, I know.
I came through Prep 9, and that's basically what introduced me to boarding school. Before that, I had not a clue as to where I wanted to go to high school. Nevertheless, come to a boarding school in Connecticut, being from New York.
My mother actually always wanted me to go to Choate.
My favorite part about Loomis was living at school and being part of a community, because I had always moved around as a kid, maybe spent 2 to 3 years max at a place. I've lived in Texas, New York, LA, Stanford, all over. But so it was nice having that stability and knowing that this is where I would be for the next 3 years, because I entered as a new sophomore. So that was great.
My first roommate was Julie Bengis. She was an all-star athlete, tri-varsity, her sophomore year, which was the year I started. And she was straight A's, always studying in the room, and we had a really nice room too.
I walked in and there was a piece of blue masking tape down the center of the room. And she was like, I can't handle this anymore. I was like, what's going on? She was just like, I cannot handle you not having rules of threes. This is your side and this is mine. Do not cross it. And I was like, okay.
My first roommate was from Alaska, so that was a bit of a culture shock in a way. And I was able to, it was really different, but in a way I learned a lot from him, and we became pretty good friends. And now this year I have a roommate who lives 5 minutes away from me where I'm from, so I didn't really go outside the box, but I had enough experience from Yvonne from Alaska, so it was a little different.
My roommate here sucked. I punched my friend in the face and my roommate reported it.
I was one of the only freshmen to make the team. And I walked into my dorm where there were seniors living there, and the 2 field hockey captains were roommates in my dorm. And I got in the shower, and it was a group shower, and they came in, and they were like, who is that? I was like, Mimi. They were like, oh, hey. And they ripped down the shower curtains. And I was like, oh my God, hi. I'm 14 years old and I'm naked. And they're like, we don't use shower curtains here.
I've always had some of the best roommate pairs. My freshman year, my roommate and I had nothing in common, actually, besides stuff that were biological or things out of our control. She and I had the same birthday. She was a couple hours older than me. And both of our moms went to the same grad school. And just little weird stuff that we ended up finding out about each other, which are stuff that you wouldn't normally talk about with people, we found out we had in common. But besides that, we had nothing in common, but we had the best relationship.
We never went to sleepaway camp or anything like that. We were just used to sharing with each other and sharing space. So it was a natural transition. And having roommates actually was one of the best parts, because it allowed us to have our own friend group, and we all stuck together.
So I think I really had a rich roommate experience starting from my first year at Kent.
The other thing that I really did was the teachers, on the other hand, because they actually care about you, like you get to know them.
But they're not only your professors, they're your I'm going to say use the word peers, because that's what they are. So I saw him in the classroom, I saw him on the lacrosse field, but then I'd go see him in the dining hall eating with his family. And his son was actually one of my best friends. Being that close to your professors, especially in high school, I think is by far the best thing about prep school.
Normally, if I was at day school, like between like spring term, I'd be like, okay, now I'm comfortable with them. Here it's like 2 weeks and you're like, okay, you're family, I can go ask you anything. You know what I mean? Like a lot of students, like especially me, I'm very nervous to like put my hand up in class or say like, everyone else is like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, I don't know what the heck's happening. Like here, I'm totally like, all right, I don't know. Because like I know the teacher, I know I'm so comfortable with everyone around me that it's not a problem.
If you can meet with your teacher after dinner, you know, because you sleep on campus, that's another, 4 hours to get to know and, build a relationship and a bond with your teachers. And I loved that. I left on bad terms. I got kicked out of boarding school, but my advisor and I go hiking all the time. He was also my English teacher, and his wife taught me English the next year, and I'd go over and have dinner with them.
I think junior year I was in her pre-cal class, and she had gotten sick one day. No, she didn't get sick. She broke her elbow because she was skiing over her headmaster's weekend. So my friend and I got her neighbor to bring us home, and we made her chicken noodle soup and brought it to her. And I think that is really, I got to know my professors and I could really connect with them on a personal level, which was great.
It goes back to the Kent motto. I mean, it's simplicity of life and what that brings to you, and how as a young adult, as a teenager, I'm not even an adult at this point. When you strip it down to the relationships, the academics, sports, and just you really enjoy those sorts of things. You don't really have any extra clutter.
I definitely chose a school that I loved. I'm not just saying that too. Like I actually came on this campus and I was like, all right, this is my school. Like, and my parents were like, okay, well we'll keep the other schools. I'm like, no, to me they're not there anymore. I'm like, it's just here. No, I love it. It's great.
I think it was the best choice I've ever made. But I'm only 21, so I don't know how many more choices I will make, and I'll need to compare it to those.
As stubborn as I was in the beginning of it and all, I made the right choice of going to Porter's.
Definitely. It's the best decision I ever made. And I firmly believe that, looking back, I firmly believe that it was the right choice, because there's no way I would have gotten into a school like Lafayette without going to Hotchkiss first.
People should just realize that, people don't go to boarding school for, doing something bad. Our parents still love us. They want us to succeed, so they create opportunities.
I wouldn't change it for nothing. It's really a chance we have to come here, I think.
100% yes. It's invaluable. It's been the greatest experience of my life so far.
I think I would have been happier if I hadn't gone to boarding school. But I think I'm more prepared because of what happened and because I went to boarding school. So it's a trade-off. I love college, and I'm still here at college, I think, because I went to boarding school, and I know that there are certain rules have to be followed. And if you don't set rules for yourself, you're dead meat.
I was on crutches for such a long time, and then I am walking across the boardwalk, and then because I'm finally off my crutches, I still have the brace, but I'm off my crutches. There's black ice in the sandbox, and I trip again, but this time this was in between classes, so literally the entire school saw this happen. And there was this football player walking behind me. I'd never spoken to him before, but I knew who he was. But he went up to me and he picked me up and carried me all the way to the infirmary from the sandbox. And that was one of the moments here that I was like, wow, we have such a great sense of community, because even if everyone has their own group of friends, everyone has their own interests, so obviously it's really natural and it's okay for people to have their own groups, there's still that underlying sense of community if someone's willing to stop their day and carry someone to the infirmary. Obviously not everyone has the physical capabilities to do that, but to have the thought of stopping and doing that was pretty touching for me.